for trybean on the 10 spot. I like it. I'll tell you one thing about COVID hitting is my ability to be on time for things shot way up, man. My percentage is much higher. If all I have to do is go downstairs and get on front of a computer, I can make it almost every time. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, you'd think I would have this set up and ready, but you got to play around with it a little bit. And it's not quite 10 o'clock, so I have time to do all that stuff. So we're going to kick it live at 10. Try being on Tuesdays on the 10 spot. I am excited about it. Cool topic today, man. Cool topic today. We're going to talk about mindset. Actually, we're going to talk about mental wellness, but ultimately, mental wellness is your mindset, right? If you've got your mindset straight, you can get through so many more challenges than if your mindset's all a mess. So I'm going to hit this share screen button. So watch this parallax out for a second, but it won't stay like that for long because we're going to go to an actual screen that we're going to share, which means that I'm not going to be looking at you all. I'm just going to be looking at this presentation because that's kind of how you set these things up. So I covered a couple of things last week, right? This is section 2 in the 5 pillars of a life well lived talk. And this slide right here is really in the introduction, right? It kind of frames it up. We think we want balance. How often do you hear about, well, I need work-life balance. I need more balance in my life. I need more me time to go with all the they time, right? We're always focused on balance, but here's the thing about balance, and you can see it illustrated very well here. If things are in balance, they're even. Life doesn't work that way. What we really should be striving for is harmony. We need to be making sure that the levers in our lives are working for us as opposed to against us. And this whole talk postulated that those 5 levers, or as I refer to them as the 5 pillars, it makes sure that we're figuring out how to put those in harmony. So those 5 pillars, the first one was relationships, right? And those are, the relationships you have with people and the relationships you have with nature and the relationship with spirit and the relationship you have with yourself being the first one, because that's the most important one we have, people. But you can see that talk. In fact, if you go to trybean.com blog, it's right at top. Well, it won't be because this one will be right on top, but that one will be real close to the top. And then maybe I'll make a whole blog post about all 5 of them and link them all together. And so if you're really bored and don't want to pay me to come in and do this talk, you can sit and watch all 5 of them. Woohoo! That'd be fun. Actually, that would be cool. Please do. All right. So forget about the 5. Well, let me get through the other 3 pillars, right? So we've got relationships, we've got mindset, we got physical wellness, bam, baby. And then we've got spiritual wellness, right? How are you aligned to whatever you believe is God and whatever that spirituality looks like for you? And then lastly, we have financial wellness. Interestingly, in the order of this series, physical is going to go last. Just because it went last. That's how it goes sometimes. All right, so we're going to keep moving, but this is the goal. We want to be in harmony, harmoniously living with these 5 pillars. And I will tell you that the 8 seconds that I was kicking it well in spiritual, in physical, in mental, in financial, and in relationship wellness, when all 5 of those were firing well, that 8 seconds, bam, that was the best 8 seconds of my life. It's not going to work, people. You're not going to have all 5 of these going well at the same time. But when you're aware of them, you know which plate you got to go over and spin a little harder, because all of a sudden your relationships start to go down a little bit when you're financial, because most of us, financial is work, right? Like if you've got work and like your money's actually doing work, you could have 2 buckets. But for most people, financials directly tied to the work we do. So we'll get into that later. All right, let me skip through a couple slides. Boom, 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 boom. And let me get to this one right here, because this is what we're talking about today. I've said it 1,000 times. It all begins and ends right here in between these 7 3/4 inches. I got a big head. Some of you may have 6 1/8 inches. It doesn't really matter. But that space between your ears, that's what matters. You can snap yourself into a great day or into a horrible day just by thinking it so. No, most people don't take that level of accountability, but we should. We're always really good to say, "Oh, I had a great day. I did that." Right? "Oh man, I had a bad day. That was the universe's fault." Right? You have to have extreme accountability, and extreme accountability means that you hold yourself accountable for 100% of the things that happen because of you, that happen to you, that happen from you, that happen with you, that happen by you. All of it, you. That's just how it works, right? So start with that 100% accountability mindset. I love this little poem. Your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. The harvest will bring either flowers or weeds, right? So, whatever you're feeding your mind is what's going to grow in there. And it's kind of funny to me because I wrote a piece for in my daughter's book. Well, it's a book I'm writing for my daughter called Systemic Deprogramming. And systemic deprogramming is really about the idea that parents keep putting their values, negative or positive, on their kids, who put it on their kids, who put it on their kids, and put it on their kids. And what happens oftentimes is it's normally the negative stuff that we end up really holding on to from our parents. Maybe our parents had all kinds of cool positive stuff too, but the negative stuff's what really shapes us and what really digs into us. And systemic deprogramming is about breaking that cycle. We're also being programmed by television, by radio, by media, by the things we watch, listen to, and read all day, every day. And so, what we put into our mind, what we're feeding our garden, really matters. So, I encourage people to be really mindful of where they're spending their attention and where they're spending their time, because you can get lost in the wrong stuff super fast, super easy. Um, when it comes to mindset, you got a couple of choices. You can have a fixed mindset or you can have a growth mindset. And a fixed mindset is just what it sounds like, right? You're not going to move past where you are. The famous saying in business is, "Oh, well, this is the way we've always done it." Well, the way you've always done it isn't going to keep working anymore. You have to try new things. I'm not saying you throw everything out and start over, but incrementally test new ideas, see the results, see what happens, and then reframe from there. Try and make incremental improvement, and we can do that at work and we can do that with ourselves too. I love the idea that I can't do this yet, right? Or I haven't done this yet. There's all kinds of time to get better at things when you live with a growth mindset. So I encourage you to flip the switch. If you're a fixed mindset person, be open to new things. That's where growth is, just outside of your comfort zone. This is an important element. This is called the reticular activating system. And it's this little piece in your brain, and it does a few things. It's got a few really cool functions. But the function that I appreciate most is it's effectively the screen door between your subconscious mind and your conscious mind. Your conscious mind processes something along the lines of 400 thoughts a minute, and it's a very small number, and I've got the number wrong. It's wrong. And but I wanted, relatively speaking, it's 40,000 thoughts per minute that your subconscious mind filters, right? So that's the equation. The numbers are wrong, don't quote me. The time's wrong, don't quote me. But 40,000 bits to 400 bits, right? That's the difference. So your conscious mind, if you were seeing and hearing and paying attention to all the things that are going on, your conscious mind would just shut down. That's why it leaves it to the subconscious mind. The reticular activating system is the thing that says, uh-oh, hey, this is important. We got to show this. We got to make sure they notice this. We got to make sure they're paying attention to this. This is the exact phenomena that every single time you've bought a new car, the next day you see 12 of them on the road, right? They've always been there. They were always there. You just didn't notice them because they were in the blur. They didn't matter. But now that you bought one, your reticular activating system says, this car is important. Show them all, especially the ones that are the same color, right? Can't miss those. So it's a really important tool that I suggest people take a look at, learn how to use. And this is one way you can really reprogram your mind by feeding your subconscious mind the important things and telling the reticular activating system to have your conscious mind notice them while you're awake, while you're aware. This is why vision boards are so important. One of the things that really helps in terms of feeding that mindset and just making sure that we're doing positive and productive things is talking to people that we enjoy about things we want to talk about. There's no sense in having a bunch of conversation about news of the day if you don't care about news of the day. There's no sense in talking about the favorite sports ball teams that did whatever they did or didn't do over the weekend if you don't care about sports ball. Right? It's so often we get dialed into conversations, especially that are talking about people and poorly in that about people. It's not worth it. It's not worth your energy. But talking about ideas, talking about opportunities, talking about mindset, things of a growth nature, that becomes really interesting. And it changes the frequency and the vibration of our thoughts. And when we elevate the frequency and vibration of our thoughts, we elevate what we attract to us, right? The law of attraction, the law of vibration, stuff works. And it works both positively and negatively. And so if you're running around talking shit about people and wondering why bad things are happening or people are talking crap about you, it's because you attracted that mess. Sorry, right? Remember that 100% accountability piece that we talked about? Radical accountability? Yeah, you gotta own that stuff. Another really important element of making sure your mindset is straight is proper rest. I was just reading Jeff Bezos, who at one point recently was the richest guy on the planet, and he's still in the top 5 as I speak today. How many hours of sleep would you guess Jeff Bezos gets? Right? Some might be like 4 or 5 or 2.5. Maybe he's crazy and gets 6. No, Jeff Bezos gets 8 hours of sleep. He also gets done with work at 5 p.m. 5 people, 5. Yes, he's got a gazillion people working for him. Sure, true story. But he's had that ritual for years upon years upon years because he understood that having the right mindset was going to lead him to the elevation that he was looking to have, right? So there's a theory, people always talk about the idea that when I have this, I will do these things and I will be happy. Right. So they always think about it's have, do, be. This is a landmark forum ideology, and it came from Est and Charles Werner, but I don't think it's Charles. Anyway, so it's have, do, be, right? When I have this, I'll do these things and I'll be this. That's backwards thinking. What we really need to be thinking about is if I be this, right, who I want to be, if I act like that person and do the things that that person would do, I'll have the things that person has. So it's not have, do, be, it's be, do, have, right? So if you were a bazillionaire, you'd probably say, well, yeah, I'd sleep 8 hours a day because I wouldn't have any concerns. Maybe start sleeping 8 hours a day now. Another favorite idea for increasing your mindset is instead of being on the phone, although being on the phone during the car ride can be important, instead of listening to music, start listening to things that are going to help you grow, right? And I'm not talking about your favorite novella. I'm talking about stuff that's going to help your business, that's going to help your mindset elevate, things that are important to actual growth. So just something to think about uh in the near future. Sorry, I just got a text about brokering. It just says, could you broker? Maybe, yes. I don't know. Well, I'm sure it says more, but the screen preview only said, could you broker? Um, so yes, I can broker. We'll broker. I don't know. Maybe. um, here's a fascinating book that I've read. Dan Millman is one of my all-time favorite authors. He wrote Way of the Peaceful Warrior, which was probably the most profound book that I've read personally. And I should say, not that I've read, but that it was most profound of the list of books that I've read. And it could be just because of when I read it. It was the second one in that spiritual genre, and I was 22, 21. But whatever. This book is really, really, really cool because it's a numerology based book. And if you've ever paid any attention to astrology, you'll end up really enjoying this because it kind of breaks you down by what he calls a life path number. And it really defines and describes the life you were born to live. So if you're interested, drop a comment and I'll explain how you get your life path number and how you can read more, because I don't want to get into it right now, but important and very, very cool stuff. Oh, look, I love this guy. John Assaraf was one of the featured teachers in The Secret. If you saw that movie, he was the guy whose kid was sitting on a box, kicking the box after they moved into the house, and they opened the box and they found his vision board. And in his vision board was a picture of that exact house that he had pasted on his wall 12 years earlier. Bought the house, didn't even recognize that it was the house. How cool is that? Yeah, because that's how long sometimes things take, right? That is the law of gestation at its finest. Anyway, John's a great, great brain teacher. He talks about inner size, right? We always worry about exercise for the physical thing, but what if you were inner sizing your mind? And he'll do these things called brainathons, and he does them on Saturdays, and they're 5 hours, and he'll bring in some amazing brain experts. All of this to say, go follow John Assaraf, read his books, take a look at who he is and what he's doing. It's a ton of good information. So this says physical wellness. I don't think this is going to be the next one. I think we're going to skip over this and go to something else, but that's on the actual schedule piece. So let me get out of here. Let me come over and look at your shining faces. Let me tell you that I appreciate you swinging by. Let me stop this screen share. Boom. Stop the screen share. Boom. All right. And yeah, thanks for swinging in. All right. I was a little long, an extra minute and a half, but we had a lot to cover today, man. The mindset is that stinking important that it's worth 2 extra minutes, people. It is. It just is. We got to invest that time, that energy, that effort. This is our most valuable resource. So please treat it as such. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. I'm Terry Bean. You can find me at trybean.com, trybean.com. Lots of information up there from blog posts and from other videos and content that I've created. Also info about talking to me about being a speaker or a coach or a trainer. All about growth, baby. Growing your mindset, growing your reach, growing your business, growing you, whatever it takes. I'll look forward to seeing you when I do. Have a wonderful day.